Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we finally had Phil Spencer, the head honcho himself for Xbox, finally go make his public statement. Now, if you guys kind of missed it, the kind of big news throughout this week in the gaming universe is that Microsoft, and in here at 4, if that's ever the proper saying for that, is also then laying off a lot of folks for basically folks in Xbox. So Microsoft with their layoffs, Xbox with their layoffs too, because it is a big subsidiary, has been the major talk of the town when it does come for YouTube and articles and my own self on this channel. And it overall has been kind of bad because we also made a somewhat rant video on it, where even the day before, Microsoft themselves had a private concert with Sting, and up until like Tuesday night, they're probably having drinks and being cozy and spend like a few $1 million, and then the very next day at work, they end up laying off over 10,000 folks. So obviously it's been a big thing when it comes to the gaming universe. We've been seeing people in like news articles and tech articles and other tech locations like Apple, Google, etc., all going and having big, massive layoffs. And now it's interesting because we finally had Phil Spencer go and lay off all these comments and discuss this and discuss the feelings. And at the end of the day, I still think it was just really, really rough because we're seeing Microsoft want to go drop like $80 billion on other various acquisitions, and people are losing their jobs. So we're going to talk about what Phil Spencer mentioned, kind of give my thoughts and comments on this one. As you guys can tell, not happy with it at all. And as well, if you guys are brand new, give me your thoughts and comments down below. As well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below if you guys want to follow, hang out over there. We have the Target links, we have Amazon links, and everything else in between. And let's talk about the fact that Phil Spencer is finally going and talking about these layoffs. So, as you guys have living underneath a rock, we've been seeing tech layoffs everywhere, and Microsoft was no exception. We saw a very, very big hit specifically towards the games division for Xbox. 343, the makers of Halo. We've been seeing stuff at Game Pass. We've been seeing folks that worked on Forza. And I've also been seeing like little trickles of folks who worked at other Xbox game studios that were getting laid off. And now, granted, a layoff is never good. And sometimes it is worthwhile if you overhire or if they also underdeliver. And this is why this stuff's a little bit on the sadder side, because we see Phil Spencer now has had a chance to talk about this, where Phil Spencer tells Xbox employees that these layoffs were painful. Now, let me be biased really quick. Let me get my bias out of the way. So you give me like a free pass for a minute. I despise whenever like CEOs and big higher ups kind of give these same blanket statements, because guess what? They usually still have their same executive bonuses and they're still hired themselves. And at the same time, yeah, it's painful for you, but you're still working, you're still making the job happen, and it's more painful for the people who lost their jobs. Now, obviously, sometimes you got to do it, or sometimes they overhire, or in a business sense, you need to do it so you don't go bankrupt or keep milking money and make things worse. Totally get it. I understand both sides. I just always feel like it's kind of always tone deaf, but it's intriguing to see, and hopefully he says something nice throughout the video. So as part of the Microsoft-wide cuts, staff at Bethesda, 343, and marketing lost their jobs as of this week. Microsoft's head of gaming, Phil Spencer, has addressed this week's round of job cuts at the company, telling staff they were painful choices. On Wednesday, Microsoft confirmed plans to lay off approximately around 5%, rounding up, of the U.S. technology giant's 220,000 person workforce, or around 10,000 people. Eventually, this was also confirmed to have affected the company's gaming divisions, in particular, Halo developers, 343 Industries, Bethesda Game Studios, and marketing specifically. Like, those are the ones that were hit the most. Now, the Bethesda one's kind of weird because I do feel like Bethesda's been churning out games very well. Like, they've even turned out games with PlayStation, they have Starfield on the way, and if anything, if Starfield's meant to be the huge big game of this year for Xbox, the fact that they are, having these issues and laying people off before the game's even out, I don't know. I mean, if I was a company and CEO, and especially for something like Microsoft that's worth a lot of money, at that point, if I'm putting my heart and faith into Bethesda, I'd probably keep most of the hires there. Number one, for morale, but number two, because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, the game has been rumored that it might be delayed, and at the same point, that's probably why I want to have everyone all hands on deck to make sure the marketing for the game is good, and also make sure the game itself launches well. And especially when it comes to this stuff, like maybe afterwards, when like the hype goes down, people would understand, like, yeah, the game's released. We did our like 3-month big marketing cycle. Like, we might have to lay you off. And I feel like if I was an employee, I'd get it. Like, I finished my job, the game's out, we did the bug fixes we had to go do, cool. Same with the CEO, I'd be like, yeah, let's just finish this up, sit with us for another few months, we'll figure out what goes on afterwards. But the fact that the game that's not even out yet, and they've done very well, like Bethesda's been overall pretty solid, it's kind of where they're getting so well, heavily hit. So on Friday, Phil Spencer sent out a company-wide email obtained and published by Kotaku, which he told employees the cuts would set it up for long-term success. Well, granted, not for the people who got their job lost. This has been a difficult week across Microsoft. And here, inside our teams, he wrote, now that many of the one-to-one and team conversions have happened, I want to take a moment to reiterate the message that you heard from your leaders. This is a challenging moment in our business, and this week's actions were painful choices. The gaming leadership team had to make its decisions that we felt set us up for the long-term success of our products and business, but the individual results of those decisions are real. I know that hurts. Thank you for supporting our colleagues as they process these changes. And now, once again, like maybe I'm just like anti like capitalism or whatever. I don't know. Like just Xbox has been kind of irking me these past few weeks, especially. Man, like once again, they had a huge company-wide party literally the night before. Now, it's not confirmed if Phil Spencer was there, but they did say a lot of the executives of Microsoft is there, and an Xbox CEO is definitely pretty high up there, and if not, even just Phil Spencer, I'm sure some of the gaming lead executives are probably there to commingle and hang out and chill as they go and release up all these statements the next day. Like, maybe that's just really unfortunate timing, maybe it was prepaid, I don't know, but it just really feels tone deaf from me, and I think a lot of these devs and marketers and people working on the games we play do deserve a little bit better. Now, I don't want to harp on Phil Spencer or Xbox too much, because at the end of the day, I just want them to make good games, but if they're like basically firing folks that are making these games and all the other drama with Halo and these contract laws of them kind of sitting with 18 months and having to leave, and then they have to get new hires all the time, and the game just kind of turned out like absolute doo-doo, then you have to instill the confidence first. You make something dope and I'll be proud. I'll be like cool with it. Like, I mean, I'll call out Sony, I'll call it Xbox, but this just feels rough to see. So the email continued. Over the coming weeks, we will have many opportunities to connect and answer your questions, including the monthly gaming update next week for teams who attended that meeting, and I am in close contact with teams at ZeniMax to provide support. The GLT and I are committed to being as transparent as we can. Moving forward, the ambiguity, I've had to go and say unambiguous so many times, so whatever, is challenging, but I am confident that together we'll get through this difficult moment in time. It's weird. I really just hope that like this actually was a good call, and maybe I hope a lot of these folks were just fodder people who really just weren't doing their job well, or they just wouldn't need to be. Like I wasn't there. I'm not part of these direct teams. I've just seen a lot of folks critique upper management for say like how they did with Halo, where they kind of focused on the wrong things and focused on the microtransactions and everything else besides making a good game. So that, in my mind, I assume that's upper management rather than just like the Halo developers. Same thing with Bethesda. Say like for Fallout 76, it almost seemed like it just wasn't the game that Bethesda folks wanted to make, and we keep on hearing outside sources that Microsoft is like basically trying to go and fine-tune these games and try to make them profitable or try to make them like set for deadlines for Game Pass and all that type of stuff. So GLT and I are committed to being as transparent as we can. Moving forward with all this is challenging. So Xbox has a long history of success thanks to the work you do in service of players, creators, and each other. Your work is so deeply appreciated and valued in these times of change as integral to our business momentum. I am confident in our future and proud to be a part of this team, but also concise that this is a challenging time, and I want to thank you for everything you do here. Which is why it's kind of weird, because I do appreciate the nice message, but I feel like I've read so many of these quote-unquote nice messages over here in these recent times, where I almost want to see more action. I'm not really sure what Phil Spencer might do. I want to see him take a pay cut, same with other Microsoft executives, and trying to go and tone down their cushy, like, full paycheck. I think we've seen Apple themselves do that, and they've toned down their own bonuses and paychecks, and I think that's a good sign of leaders. We've seen that with Nintendo too as well, where Nintendo executives have actually taken pay cuts too to make sure there's no future layoffs to instill good company morale. So the fact that it seemed like Microsoft kind of blanket just kind of cleaned out a lot of their people, maybe they're right, maybe they know more than me because they are working there, but from the outside looking in, it really seems like they made really bad calls with things like, say, Halo or even Bethesda-type style games, and that they don't want to take the responsibility for it, and it also might lead towards a Starfield delay, which is probably one of the biggest Xbox games everyone's looking forward to, and it's making me a little bit concerned on Xbox as a whole. especially with all the drama on the Activision acquisition, especially in the fact they dropped probably around $100 billion. They want to do $10 million in ChatGPT, $70 billion on Activision, and around $10 billion for Bethesda. And even then, still with all this money being spent and Steam consoles and all, they still want to go and, well, lay off a lot of folks. So I'm not sure. I might have ranted too hard on this one, but it's kind of an intriguing thing. I just hope everyone who did get laid off can find a nice, proper, good job. And as well, hopefully the layoffs can hopefully calm down and stop for all the tech and gaming industry. So give me your thoughts and comments. Was that too harsh? Let me know. And as well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below. We have the Target links. We have the Amazon links. We have the HOW links. And let me know your thoughts and comments on Mr. Phil Spencer himself.